Around the Ozarks is now on your FM radio. Listen to Around the Ozarks mornings with Grace Gooley as I spotlight local people, stories, and podcasts, all while playing the country legends of the 90s and the hit makers of the 2000s. It's on the Ozarks' best country, 105.1 The Bull. Hi, this is Joy Robertson. As many of you know, I love food. I love finding new restaurants. I love trying new dishes. And most of all, I love talking to the many great restaurateurs and entrepreneurs we have here in the Ozarks and beyond. I love hearing their stories, and that's what this podcast is all about, learning more about them and their journey. So join me as we savor the Ozarks. This episode is brought to you by Jim's Steakhouse and Pub, Kitchenland USA, and Springfield's locally owned Fazoli's.
That's why you know I like to talk.
I know you like to talk. I'm sitting in Crosstown BBQ with none other than Steve Williams, the owner. This is an awesome family business. You know what I love about you is that when I come in here, even before I start rolling, you and I have been talking for 10 minutes, and the whole time I'm thinking, why am I not recording this? Thank you for coming on Savor the Ozarks. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you? It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. I absolutely love this place that sits right here on Division Street. I'm a North Sider. I used to work right up the street at Color 10.
Yeah.
Used to drive through and get those yummy smoked chicken salads and the burnt-in salads, the Big Chef salad. Loved it. That's my first foray into Crosstown was driving through and getting a salad. And then I kind of learned about it. Tell me about this business, Steve. Your dad started this in the 1970s, am I right?
1970, February 19th of 1970, he opened up the doors, and it was an interesting story. I was probably, 7 or 8 years old at the time, I think, and he called home, because he commuted back and forth from Springfield to Kansas City. He never really lived here, had a home, and he stayed in the back of the restaurant throughout the week, and then he came home on Saturday night after he had opened up all day. He came home to Kansas City, and then after he get home to Kansas City about 1 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning, and then he'd stay Sunday, and he would stay partly on Monday and leave about 3 or 4 o'clock on Monday to get back to Springfield to open up on Tuesday through Saturday. And so I just remember he was so excited. He called my mother the first day he was open, and he was so excited about the day. And my mama was like, well, so how much did you do? And he says, honey, I did $26. And he was excited about doing $26 on the first day that Crosstown BBQ opened up. I never forget that.
What a great story. Why Springfield, though? If the family was in Kansas City, what brought him to Springfield?
Well, it was a turnkey operation. Lovely people, Grant and Josephine Pascal, owned this building, the smaller building at the time, and they had opened up a restaurant here, and they did barbecue amongst other things. But then they were decided that they didn't want to do it anymore, and so I don't really know how my dad got in touch with them, but it was a turnkey operation. All the equipment was here and everything. All he had to do was come in and start cooking and putting his own recipes and everything on it. And I think the rent at the time was like $100 a month.
Wow.
So I can see why he was excited that he made $26 on the first day. I mean, that's like a quarter of the rent on the first day. Hey.
Yeah, I'm feeling it too. Now that you say that, I'm like, I would be over the moon with that. Did he have a background in restaurant operations? Apparently, he knew how to cook barbecue, and I guess they knew he knew how to cook barbecue.
Well, I don't think so. My dad never had a background. I mean, other than, my grandmother was a great cook. We had, our family had generations of good cooks and stuff coming from Louisiana. But I do remember as a kid, my dad would start barbecuing outside on the back of the house, and how he was trying to grill and stuff. And so I kind of like, my dad was like a self-taught person, really, in everything he did. Before in Kansas City, he had his own excavating company.
Really?
Yeah, and he also had a mattress factory. So my dad was always an entrepreneur. This was like in the 50s, and 60s, before he came down to Springfield. Because when he got here, he was 50 years old. Yeah.
Is that right? Now, what's your dad's name?
Jesse Williams.
Okay, your dad was Jesse Williams. So the restaurant was here. Was it called Crosstown?
What, before then?
Yeah.
No. It was called Pasco's Smokehouse restaurant, I think it was called. Pasco's Smokehouse. And then he changed the name to Crosstown. And I don't even know how that name got it. But I think, really Crosstown BBQ, what's interesting to me is that, I think, it was a divine purpose for my dad to come here. He ended up getting a restaurant that's on Division Street, and of course, I don't know if you know the history of this street name, do you?
What I understand to be the case is that Springfield was divided into Springfield and North Springfield, and it was divided by this street, Division Street.
That's correct. And so I guess my dad, when he came here, it was like a restaurant that was kind of catered more to African Americans at the time. But when he came here, he decided, hey, he wanted to make sure everybody got an opportunity to break bread and have barbecue. And so I think, too, it's one of the first places in town where blacks and whites kind of got together and to be able to break bread, to break down some of the barriers that it might have been at that time. And so Crosstown BBQ is, I guess, come across town to cross town. That's kind of how my slogan is today. So, but how even to this day, Springfield has this stronghold stigma of North Side, South Side, and it's just kind of, I don't really like the whole ideal of it all, but, because we're one city. And so we gotta, and I know we got the East and the West and the North and the South, but we are one city. But a lot of things are gearing toward more South Side because, there's certain products that consumers want or need that you basically cannot acquire on the north side of town. Really. It's something as basic as Nike tennis shoes. Think about that.
Yeah, when you think about it. Like, I remember saying, I want to get this piece of jewelry fixed, or I want to change it, or I need whatever. And I thought, I don't even know where the closest jewelry store is. Like, which one would literally be the closest if I needed a watch battery? You know what I mean? Yeah, no, you're right, Steve. You're right.
You're right. And I think that's, development has to kind of be more, what's the one I say, divided into equally, but it's like, I guess this is called consumer demand, you know what I mean? So, I understand from a business perspective at times, but sometimes I think even my business has been affected by the fact of its location. But because people say, well, I would come more often if it was on the south side of town. I hear that all the time. Everybody's into convenience now. Now you can get to the point where you got everything delivered. And I'm kind of noticing that, too, in the restaurant because this, used to be lunch hour was a lunch hour. You got you could count on everybody coming to lunch or at that time between the hours of 11:30 to 12:30 or whatever the case was. But now I'm really seeing a change in my business, and I think even in other businesses where people are not just basically going out and sitting down and having a lunch in the brick and mortar. They're more like towards getting it delivered by third party delivery services like DoorDash and all those other people, which I don't really partake in those particular things. But perhaps in the future we might, because it's kind of the trend. Everybody's kind of getting a little spoiled and about going out, And I think too that was a turn of when COVID hit. Everything switched over to the point of, okay, how can I have less contact with people and be able to still get what I want, which I think is kind of affected businesses like restaurants and any other businesses you can say.
That's true, and it's hard to say if we'll ever go back to the way things were. Things always do evolve, but I do like the idea that maybe, hopefully, even though this restaurant sits on Division Street, we are not as divided as we once were. Though, your restaurant is loaded with history, and I love looking at the historic documents and articles, photos on the wall. Tell me about some of those.
Well, it's just kind of like, you've been in business 56 years. You have a little history along the way. And it's just all about trying to preserve some of the articles and some of the pictures. I have a wall over there that kind of gives tribute to all the mom pop restaurants that used to be here in Springfield. And then I have a wall about all the articles that we have. I've had several other articles that I don't have room to put up. But, I think that we, throughout the years, people know who we are. People know our reputation for what we stand for. And not just as food-wise, but just as people-wise. People understand my dad and respected my dad, and I think they respect me too. I mean, my dad always told me, your word is your bond, and you're only as good as your name. So it's kind of like branding the barbecue restaurant for all these years. But then there's so many people still in Springfield, Missouri to this day that have never come to Crosstown BBQ. And it's like, I don't know why, I'm quite sure they've heard of it. I've had people tell me, man, I've heard about you. I've seen your commercials and for a long time, and I've been wanting to come. And I said, well, how long have you been wanting to come? He said, probably about 15 years. I'm like, what? So I'm like, really? What is the issue here? It's like, you heard it's good barbecue. You heard it's some of the best barbecue. And it takes you 15 years to get here? I don't understand the logic sometimes. But, hey, people will be people. And hey, I guess they're busy. And at least, and I tell them, I said, well, finally, unless you finally came, so better late there than never, Then they say, man, this is great barbecue. And I'm like, well, yeah.
We haven't been here all these years for nothing. But, I mean, you have a hugely loyal following. I walked in today to come talk to you kind of the middle of the afternoon, and some of my friends are sitting in here, And I have other friends that say, where are we going to go today? Oh, let's go to Crosstown, But I do tend to go over and look at that wall a lot of the times. And there's one, I think it's still back there. It was, I don't know if it was out of a newspaper or Yellow Pages or some such thing, but it was almost like a list of Black-owned businesses. You know what I'm referring to? That just freaks me out, Steve.
Well, this was like, it's still over there. It's like it's kind of like a directory from 1937, and what it was a list of businesses that would allow Black people to either work at or either consume or buy at. And so because there were some places that black people couldn't work, and there were some places that black people couldn't go and buy. But it was a list, kind of like a green book, kind of like,
Exactly. Well, see there, and again, it's been a while since I looked at it. I didn't realize it went that far back, but it wasn't about who owned the business. It was about, here are businesses that you can go to, or if you're white, maybe these are the ones you need to know about. I mean, that makes me just... It's so uncomfortable for me to look at that.
Well, I mean, that's our history, though.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's the history. And, and the thing about it is, my dad said, you can't never forget or try to bury the history, because if you do, you repeat it all over again. But, I feel that we just constantly have to continue to strive. And the thing about it is, too, when some people see that things are not right, it's kind of like how I do. I do I'm also a preacher now, so it's kind of like I do a faith-based day of worship in a city park called Unity on Division, and that name comes from the fact that I really would like to eradicate the name Division Street and turn that street name into Unity, because if you really have a visual barrier that's visible, then it kind of keeps that division or whatever present. But if we can change that, change the line, because that where you can cross the line without, division means you can cross over to the whatever side. The unity means that, hey, it's okay to cross over, and it's not a big deal.
What year? What year did your family did eventually move to Springfield?
No.
No?
No, my family never moved to Springfield. My dad at the time was wanting to move to Springfield, and somehow, in some way, he wanted to live on the south side of town somewhere, and somehow, in some way, he was not allowed to do so. The real estate people would not, I don't know if people was told not to sell him a house over here or whatever, this and that. And that's kind of documented. And it's funny because I was at a Parkview basketball game years ago, sitting there, minding my own business, watching my kid play. And a guy was sitting there next to me, and he says, he just walks up to me and he says, aren't you Steve from Crosstown BBQ? I said, yeah. He says, man, I tell you what, I just want to say I'm sorry for what happened with your dad and situation. He said, I was working for the real estate companies at that time. And I was like, really? I said, so what are you sorry for? He said, well, we didn't allow him to buy his house where he wanted to buy his house because at that time, there was certain restrictions or whatever that he couldn't buy in certain areas or whatever. And what he did, he just basically verified the story of that it was true. And he wanted to apologize for that. And I said, well, hey, it's water over the bridge now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And hopefully things have changed. It's funny too. I got a story. I was in college, and I was like a junior in college, and my dad was still coming back and forth here, sleeping in the back room on a rollaway cot.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm a young guy. I'm like, Dad, come on now. This is the 80s now. You know what I'm saying? I'm quite sure you can find an apartment or something or whatever that you can live in or whatever. And I said, I'm going to go find us an apartment because I want to get off campus, and I'm going to go find us an apartment. And he looked at me and says, okay. He said, you go ahead and do what you think you need to do. So, man, I went, this is a true story. This is like in 1983 or something, 83, 84. And I'm thinking like, hey man, things have changed, whatever the case. This is the '80s now. Hey, it's not like that up anymore. And I looked in the paper, that's when they had it in the paper
Oh, yeah.
for rent, this and that, and this and that. And I'd call and I'd say, speak all professional like, and oh yeah, how is it available? Yeah, come. You want to come see it? Yeah, it's available. And I'm like, okay. And I'd go and I'd drive up and I'd knock on the door, whatever, the guy's there, and he says, oh well, I'm sorry to tell you, I just rented it. and I'm like, okay, well, I didn't think nothing about it at first. But this is when the problem was. I went to 23 different places, and I got the same response. And that was an eye-opener for me.
And this was in the 80s? The early to mid-80s?
Yeah. They went on the phone. It was available. As soon as I show up, it was not available. That happened 23 times. I documented 23 times. I got so frustrated and angry. I was angry. And then this last one, this is a so true story. I'll never forget this. I went to this place because, I didn't want to be in like I just wanted a decent place, right, for my dad. When he come down, he can sleep and not be in his back room, and then I could be there too, right? And it was like a 4-plex apartment over there, 2 upstairs and 1 downstairs. And I went over there, and I'm like frustrated, and there was a lady, a Caucasian lady, sitting on the porch, and I guess she was renting the downstairs one or whatever, and it had like a wraparound porch on it. And I walked up there, and she said, well, "What can we do you for?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm waiting on the landlord to show us the place." And she said, "Well, I'm here to tell you, she told me to tell you that it was already rented and stuff." So this is the lady, right? And I was like, man, she didn't have the nerve to even face me to tell me that it was not rented. And she had got somebody else to tell me this. And I'm like, I went home. I came back to here. And I called her up, and boy, I had a couple of choice words for her at that time. I was so frustrated. And she said, hold on, Mr. Williams, stop. Wait a minute. She said, I haven't been over there yet. And I'm like, what? And so she says, come on, I'll meet you over there. I haven't been over there. I said, well, the lady told me. She says, well, we'll deal with that. And so went over there, went upstairs, and man, cats all over the place. That was that lady's cats, I guess. Stray cats all in there. Didn't, smell was bad. And I'm like, Lord. And I go up to the apartment, I look at it, and I never get this. This is how low we went. It was $125 a month, $150 a month then, or something like that, with utilities paid and furnished. And it was like, okay, it needed a little work, trust me, and I'm thinking like, I've been to 23 different places in like 3 to 4 weeks, and everything the same deal.
What did you do? Or did the rollaway in the back start looking pretty good at that point?
Right. The rollaway in the back was looking real good at that point. And she said, Mr. Williams, I tell you what, if you want it, I'll let you have it. And I'm like, oh, you out of here, you're crazy. And I got thinking like, man, okay, all right, yeah. And so I said, okay, and I took it. And that's where I started. It had like roaches and stuff running through it, but I took it because I was so tired and so frustrated, and I figured I said, well, look, you got to get rid of this stuff and get rid of that. She says, okay, yeah, we'll do it, but we'll let you have it. And I'm like, okay. I said, what about that lady downstairs? She told me, she says, I'm going to deal with her. And so she went downstairs and told that lady, and she told that lady to get out. She evicted the lady or something, and whatever. She got rid of her, and man, so we had the department, and I just cleaned it up and everything. So man, very humble beginnings when it comes to finding a place in Springfield, Missouri, at that time in the 80s, man. And so I understood now I mean, I'm thinking this is the 80s. The 80s, I can imagine in the 60s, in the 70s, early 70s. I'm like, yeah. So that was definitely a verification of the mindset of people, certain things in this town at that particular time. But I mean, I just love my dad because, you know, he broke down so many barriers, you know, with love.
Yeah.
And that's how you do it. And that's kind of how it's been my deal. It's like I just love people. I love on people whether they don't love me or not or whatever. I love them anyway. And sometimes I had one person that come in here one day, and he just did everything to just try to get underneath my skin. And I just kept saying, yes, sir, I love you, and this and that. And he kept telling me, don't be telling me you love me. I said, oh, I do. I said, hey, here, take some barbecue. Here's, and he come back, and he just tried to be as mean as me as he could. And I just give him barbecue and love on him. And next thing you know, he come in here, he said, man, what is it with you? I've been trying to come in here and piss you off for a long time. And you just keep acting like you love me, or you just smiling and it don't matter to you. And I said, hey, that's just the way it is. Hey, and believe it or not, me and him eventually became very good friends. Hey, Mark, thank you, buddy. All right.
See, that's the way it is around here. Yeah.
And listen, that is a prime example of what love can do when it comes to people that just want to be hateful.
Speaking of your friends, I want to talk about food. And there is something on your menu. I believe it's called the Bluto. Tell me about, I want to talk about your menu, but the Bluto, who's that named for?
Well, a lot of my menu is based upon family names and also friends' names that I've named sandwiches after and so the Bluto was named after a guy named David Griffin that I went to college with over at Drury. He's from like Ava area, down that way, Gainesville, whatever. And his family was in the milking business and everything. And Bluto was like, he kind of looked like Bluto, like on Popeye, you know what I mean? He had this curly hair, and he just kind of looked like Bluto looked. And so, hey, that's what they called him when in college. So I'm like, okay. And we got to be good friends. And so I just named that sandwich after him. And then I got other sandwiches called the Coolie, and that's a friend of mine that he owns a plumbing business down in Portland, Gary Cooley, and then it's just, and then like I got a dinner named the Big Papa. Well, the Big Papa is what my kids called my father, their grandpa. So, and then they called my mother Nana. So that's what I named that after Nana. So it's kind of like, then I got my brothers got certain names on certain deals and everything. And you know what's so interesting? Now that you said that, I kind of named everything after everybody in my family, but I don't think I have anything on the menu that's named after me, to be truthful with you.
Okay, well, now is your chance.
I just thought about that.
Now's your chance to think it over just for a quick second and maybe make a little change to your menu. What would that dish be? What would it look like?
Well, I've been thinking about just sometimes, because it's everything's personal. Like with the names are brought forth because of who they are and what they would eat, right? So that would have to be something that I would create to eat. I like to be creative in my eating. So I don't know, maybe a little bit of everything. Like, for instance, like have the biggest sandwich that is on the menu that somebody can tackle. It's got maybe brisket and ham and pork, and put some beans on it and some French fries on it and some and some coleslaw on top of it, and just make it just a one big old sandwich.
It sounds like your thinking has set the fire alarm off back there.
Well, no, that's actually the drive-through. So.
Okay, that'll get your attention. If they order the Stevie, I will totally flip out right now.
Well, the whole idea would be like, can you eat the Stevie, right? You know? Because I used to pile stuff on top of everything and eat it all at one mix. But maybe something like that would be that. I had to think about that again. You know, I've always been about other people. You know, I've always made a lot of sacrifices for my family, for people. I care for people. I do things for people. And I had a guy the other day telling me, said, Steve, what do you do for yourself? And it really kind of hit home with me because, I don't know, my whole life has all been about putting a smile on other people's faces. And
when you're responsible for feeding a group, you want it to be simple. And, of course, you want everyone to love it. Fazoli's Catering makes it easy with baked pastas, pizza, fresh salad, and our famous signature garlic breadsticks. It's a great fit for any size office lunch, meeting, family gathering, team meal, or any occasion. Find the menu and order online at Fazoli's.com.
Fast, fresh, Italian Fazoli's.
Some people check the weather. Others check our soup of the day. Hi, this is Jim with Jim's Steakhouse and Pub. Our soup of the day changes, but the comfort never does. Just check with your server. Because nothing takes the edge off a cold day like whatever's simmering at Jim's.
When you walk through those legendary doors, you're gonna find there's so much to love. So do yourself a favor, dig that service and flavor. Jim's Steakhouse and Pub.
Have you heard the news? Kitchenland USA in Nixa has expanded with a new 2,000 square foot addition. Now they're fully dedicated to your kitchen and bath projects from start to finish, and it's all under one roof. Stop by the new showroom to see and touch the newest sinks, tubs, walk-in showers, faucets, lighting displays, tile, and flooring, all in one showroom.
Kitchenland USA, newly expanded kitchen and bath showroom in Nixa, where your vision is our mission.
But I do have boundaries, so it's kind of like I wouldn't cross over my boundaries or whatever. But leading into this, though, I'm really, now in the climate of the restaurant business and just the climate of entrepreneur and anything in the city, as you know, it's so hard to find people to work. Mm-hmm. And here lately, Crosstown has been affected by that to the point where people just don't want to work. They come, I've never met going on a job and working 3-hour, 4-hour shift and then say, oh yeah, it was okay, and then saying the next day, I don't want to work here anymore. I'm gonna do something else. That happens like all the time. You can't even get people to come in for an interview. Then it's like the people that do come in, they want to work their hours, when they want to work, how they want to work. It's like then you give them policies to go by, then they make their own policies. I'm just so frustrated and upset about the whole idea of people working and the work ethic or whatever that I've kind of like decided to just kind of be here myself, like I was when I began. I know when I'm here by myself, and I have one lady that helps me, Kay, has been here for years, that when I'm here, the product is going to be perfect, like it always is. You're going to get a real experience of what Crosstown is all about, and everything. And since January, I've been here every single day from opening to close. And I'm a little tired. And so I'm contemplating. This is a contemplation. Somebody told me, like, man, when's the last time you had a vacation? And I'm like, oh, it's been way before COVID. So I really haven't had a vacation in probably 10 years or maybe something like that. And the guy was like, Steve, man, you got to do something. And so I'm in the contemplation right now of just thinking about closing my restaurant and going on vacation for a month. But what month that is, I'm contemplating the month of August to be able to do that coming up because I'm a little burnt out, I'm a little tired, and I just kind of need to rejuvenate myself, you know.
I see you on social media a lot. You do a really nice job with your social media, by the way. You're very compelling, But I did hear or read or see somewhere that maybe you were kind of thinking about taking a break or retiring or selling out. And I thought to myself, I can't imagine driving up and down Division with no Crosstown BBQ. So I'm all for you taking a month off. I really, really would like it if you would come back. But, restaurants have done that before. Casper's, when it was in the Quonset hut with the old ownership, used to close, what was it? It closed at Memorial Day and reopened around Labor Day, and they made it work. So I don't know, 1 month may not be too much to ask.
My dad used to do that. After Christmas,
Really?
He would close up for the whole month of January. I did that when we had the smaller place. But, now I got more expenses, more bills, especially the added bill that I had to go back in debt because of the road construction for over a year. Can you imagine? That kind of demoralized me a little bit because, I worked hard to try to pay this place off and get it paid off. Mm-hmm. And I was about there, and then the road construction hits, and now I got to go back in debt, 6 figures, just to survive. And I mean, that really took the wind out of my sails a little bit, and I'm like,
I remember that. Everybody remembers that. But I will say, Division Street is really nice now. They did nice improvements on it. But I also remember you posting something about, okay, here's how you can get to Crosstown. And that was helpful because I remember using your directions to get to your restaurant, but that had to be very trying.
Oh, yeah, it was very trying. 50% of my business went away, you know what I mean? So even though there was a backside way to come, it wasn't, most people didn't feasible to do that. Because it's a lot of people that didn't see my posts. There's a lot of people that might not have been like, well, how do I can't get here. So, the first sign of road construction, people were like, oh, I'll turn the other way. And then all of a sudden after, it went 13 months. They told me, oh, it'll be 6, 7, 8 months. It turned into 13 months. So, and then the city didn't compensate me anything. They compensated me enough for my business to survive a half of a month. My expenses, I know what my expenses were for a month to just operate. I got half of that for 1 month for the easement and all this other stuff. And then now what happens to the other 12 months? It was a trying time. And it's like, oh, well, we'll give you a loan. I'm like, oh, thanks. I appreciate that. But how about if I didn't have to get a loan for 6 figures just to stay in business for 12 months without having the business that I had before? But that's water over the bridge now too. So that's just added expenses that I have to deal with on top of the expenses that I already had.
Well, and somewhere along the way you added a food truck.
Yeah, and as you see, it's sitting over there, over in the lot, not being used because nobody wants to work. You know what I'm saying? So listen, there's opportunities, but what I realized, you got to have qualified people to take care of things, and finding qualified people with an attitude of wanting to build. Man, I have not come across that yet. Kay. Can you turn that down, please?
How long has Kay been with you?
21 years now. 21 years.
Is it mostly you and Kay?
Yeah, it's mostly me and Kay.
Wow.
And then Kay goes home. She leaves me here all alone. But anyway, but that's okay. Kay's getting up in age. She can't do all the things that she used to do, and it's okay, I appreciate what she does do. And so Kay goes home at 4 o'clock, and I kind of hang out and do this here kind of by myself. And My brother comes over a little bit. He works at Walgreens when he gets off work to help me clean up a little bit. So, I mean, it's okay, but like I said, I'm getting a little tired. I need a vacation, and I hope people can understand that I need a vacation, that they'll support until I get to the vacation, and they'll support after this vacation. So that's the whole idea of what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to kind of promote that maybe on social media before I head that way,
Yeah. Talk about some of your loyal customers. You have some people that have been coming here, I'm sure, ever since you took it over. And you've seen them have kids, and now their kids come in.
Oh, yeah. I got, a lot of loyal customers. Like, for instance, Mr. Moore. Daryl Moore has been coming in here for so long. He was just in here today, actually. He comes in once a week all the time.
You're talking about Daryl Moore, the former Greene County prosecutor.
That's correct. Yeah. And then he was just in here. And then I have Stan Kaufman. You know Stan Kaufman? He used to he runs some magazines here in town, and his wife would come. They come in all the time. And then, of course, I have a good friend that was in here yesterday. He helped me coach basketball, Steve Perry. He used to work for SMS over there. And then, I have, who else do I have? I got this guy named Doug. Now, Doug is interesting. Doug drives all the way from the Lake of the Ozarks about twice a week, or sometimes 3 times a week, just to come here and eat barbecue.
How long has Doug been coming here?
Man, Doug's been coming here for a long time. At least he's been coming at least 20 years or something like that. He drives all the way from the local Lake of the Ozarks. I got a good friend, Billy Ware. You know Billy Ware? He's a lawyer here in town. He comes in here all the time. Yeah.
I know Dean Price. He's a lawyer. I've been in with Dean.
Yeah.
John Sellers. You know John?
Yeah. Yeah, John was in here. John had a ankle repair or something going on in there. He was just in here a couple of weeks ago and everything. And so, yeah. And, just a lot of people that come in on a regular basis, So I got to let them know if I decide to take off. I got to let them know or whatever so they won't be so disappointed.
Well, I was just sitting here trying to figure out how on earth you're going to break the news to Doug from Lake of the Ozarks. I don't know, maybe he could watch the place for you and you pay him back in barbecue. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud here. And, the bottom line, this is a historic place, family-owned. Let's see, how do you describe your barbecue? It's Kansas City style pit smoked. Yeah. And your website says green hickory wood. Yeah,
it's Kansas City style, We got good sauce. We got a good spicy mouth sauce, and we cook it over hickory wood, and a lot of it's green. Green wood has a little more smoky flavor because it's more smolder and it's a little wet compared to dry wood, like that. And hey, we just do, and everything's naturally smoked. We don't put rub on most anything. The only thing we put a rub on is our baby back ribs. But everything else is just naturally smoked. A lot of people don't want to deal with the salt content and things that start with rubs and things. So everything we have is naturally smoked, and then we add sauce after the fact. So, we got beans, coleslaw, potato salad, all homemade daily. We got good onion rings and okra, all the best, famous fresh cut fries. We cut them every day. From real fresh potatoes, and we do catering, and we do custom smoking. We cook smoked hams and smoked turkeys for occasion for families, whole hams or whole turkeys, and we do catering, of course, and office parties and things of this sort, meetings. So we offer a lot of deal. We offer a lot of things that people can have, but you know, uh, when I used to have time to do anything, I would like to go hunting, and I like to golf and a little bit, and but then my biggest hobby though, believe it or not, people would be like, "You're kidding me, right?" My biggest hobby is to play electric football. You know what that is?
You know what? I heard you mention this in an interview with Congressman Eric Burleson. I had never heard of electric football. Not completely sure I get it, but I think I can picture it. But Steve, I had no idea. Tell me about it.
Well, I started playing electric football back when I was about 8 years old. I got it for Christmas. And man, my mother used to say that was the best investment I ever made in my entire life, was to buy you an electric football set. And me and my childhood friend to this day, he's a year older than me. We still, when I go back and forth to Kansas City, we organize tournaments to play electric football. And so I've been to national tournaments. There was a tournament here in Springfield that I actually won. I was the champion in electric football. Electric football is like a little football board that you plug it in, and it's got these little figures like football men figures that run on these plastic bases, and they move and whatever. And so you play it just like real football. You're like the coach of your team, and you allow your players to play certain, you run certain plays. You play defense, you play offense, you kick the football, you kick field goals, you pass the ball. It's just undescribable. Anybody that doesn't know anything about it, you can YouTube electric football, and then you'll get a real grasp of what's happening. I'm a big sports guy. I love sports. I played baseball, basketball, and football my whole life, but my favorite sport is football. I love to watch football more than anything, too. I love my Chiefs. I grew up in Kansas City.
Yeah.
My first Chiefs game was in 1968 at the old Municipal Stadium, not Arrowhead. And I've been hooked on Kansas City Chiefs football ever since. I used to go to a game every year, one game a year. I kind of stopped going the last 2 years because my biggest issue, I'm getting old. I'm on my feet all the time, all the time. And when you go to a Chiefs game, you can't sit down. If you sit down, you ain't going to see nothing. And I don't like the idea of having to stand a whole football game. I'm 64 years old. I'm like, be on my feet all the time, and it's like the best seat in the house is at home.
We've been to a couple of games with my husband. We always have fun and all that, but he's like, the best seat in the house is at home.
It is.
He said, think about it. We can have all the food we want. We can do whatever we want. We can sit right here. You see everything. Instant replay. It's not like being in the stadium. But, yeah, you don't have to stand up the whole time.
Yeah, and then you don't have to pay $400 for a ticket either.
That's very true.
That is like gone up. When I went to my first Chiefs game in '68 and the Royals game in 1968, you know how much the tickets were? I spent $3 for a right field bleachers ticket for the Royals and $3.50 for the Chiefs. $3.50, and here I'm trying to tell you. Now it's $400. And now you look at the NBA Finals right now. That's going on right now. They said the lowest ticket in the game over there was like $4,000.
Yeah, like $4,000 to $6,000. It's insane. That's a lot of barbecue.
Yeah, that's a lot of barbecue. But you know what's insane about it is that, hey, people pay it. People got the money to do it, I guess. Look, I was just talking to somebody today. I was just talking to Beth today over here. Like, it's amazing how much money some people have. And then you got people like myself, like, wow, we're just struggling just to make things work, hazardous and this and that. And then you got some people, that, they write a check for 25 grand and be like, oh, it's almost like $25 to us.
Yeah. My dad used to say, there's a lot of money in this world, Joy, and I ain't got none of it. And the elder I get, I'm like, now I know exactly what he means. Real quick before I go, if it comes down time to sell this place, I mean, I know you'd love for it to stay family business, but if no one in the family's up to it, I mean, is that a heartbreak for you, or is it just one of those things?
Oh, it's a heartbreak for sure, because, I put my whole life into it, and, it's just, sometimes I think like, well, if this is the end of the road, I really need to sell the business, at least get something, you know what I mean? I own the business, the property and the property around it, but it's kind of like, but the business itself, it's worth something. So, I mean, if anybody is interested, because right now I'm in a process, I got to think about an exit plan. And so it's kind of like, hey, I just got to figure out, what has to happen. Of course, it would, I would love to see it go on. But even if somebody, change the name or whatever they want to do and just have the building, I don't know. But, yeah, it is a heartbreak. It is a heartbreak because I put my whole life in it. So, and it's kind of like I'd hate to see it end, it just, I would have not been able to deal with what I had to deal with if I didn't have God in my life, faith in my life, and being the man that I am to be able to say, you know what, I deal with this, but hey, I'm not quitting. Quitting's not an option.
Right.
But quitting's an option for a lot of people.
Quitting's not an option, but a vacation for you, Steve Williams, is an option.
Yeah.
And I hope you do it, and I hope you come back, and I hope Crosstown BBQ continues for decades. Whether or not it's family owned moving forward, it'll never be forgotten because of all that you and your dad and your family has done. So thank you so much for taking time to talk to me.
Well, hey, thank you, Joy. It's just always been a pleasure. We've known each other a long time, even when you was Channel 10 and everything, and I put my crazy commercials out. Oh, let me tell you this, though. I before we leave, I've always been a creative type of person, when it comes to that kind of stuff, right? I write all my stuff and everything, create my own deals. And I wrote this song, man. And produced this song that years ago. I mean, one day I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and just couldn't rest. I'm like, what is it? So I was into kind of doing music at the time, and then I said I had this music, and it's like, and so I found I lost this. I had some footage. Enoch Morris, right?
Oh, yeah.
Enoch,
I remember.
He used to run Juanita K. Hammons, right? Well, back in 2002. Yeah, 2002. So that was like, what, 24 years ago?
Yeah.
I did a blues and barbecue at the Juanita K. Hammons with Big Smith. You remember Big Smith?
Oh, sure.
So Enoch was the director, and I catered at first the whole everybody that bought a ticket. Their ticket was included. The barbecue meal was included in the ticket. So everybody that came to the hall that day, I catered the whole deal for. It's like over 1,200 people, and so after I catered everything, and everything was blues and barbecue, Crosstown BBQ, right? There was an intermission in between there, and I said, "Hey, Enoch, I got this song that I wrote and produced. It's called Crosstown's Legacy." Really? I said, "Can I sing it?" I said, I brought somebody to help me sing it. And he's like, what? He's like, sure. I was like, boy, he really trusted me. Like, I'm thinking, like, there's 1,200 people here. It's intermission, and here I am. I had a CD that had the music on, and he put it up there. And, man, I sung this song, and at the time, my wife recorded it. And I had lost that video in 2004. Mm-hmm. So 20 years ago. I'm going through boxes last week. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't remember the words. I couldn't remember the words to the song. Because even though I wrote it, but I didn't write it down. I kind of improvised it a lot, right? And everything was... So I saw it, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And it's funny. It was on an 8mm video camera, right? And I put it in, and I watched it, and just tears came down my eyes because I've been wanting that song for all this time, and so this time I wrote the song back because from the performance. I wrote all the lyrics down just so I would never lose it again, right? And it's kind of, I still kind of remember. It's but it goes like this. It starts out. This is the story of a family legacy, founded by Jesse, who happens to be my daddy. One man's destiny of keeping his dreams through someone in the family, who happens to be me. My name is Steve. Most of you know me. Here's Crosstown Legacy. Then it says, story of a legacy, things that ought to be, like finding your destiny. God Almighty, I thank you for your blessings and all that you're giving me. Then it goes like this. This is the story of Big Papa Willie having little Jesse, and Jesse having me. To carry on the legacy since 1970, using Big Mama's recipes, cooking up the smoked meats. Springfield, you gotta see how we make it smell good when you're driving through our neighborhood. Jesse's Crosstown style was eating talk for a while. Yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, was all that you heard. He was giving everyone the respect they deserve. Black or white, you're not addicted till you try. Crosstown's legacy. Then I went into this, when you want to live smacking, when you want to live smacking barbecue, there's only one place you can go for barbecue, over to the north, over past the train tracks that say in favor of that, keeps you coming back. Crosstown's legacy, things that ought to be. When you feel hungry just to want it to do, you go across the city for the best barbecue. Thicky, juicy ribs served with fresh cut fries. Barbecue beans, you won't believe your eyes. Super home cooking made just for you. So whenever you get hungry, come to Crosstown BBQ.
Every bit of it came back to you. You did transcribe that video, but it came back to you. If you don't put that on your social media, you're not thinking straight.
It's funny, right? Because I wrote that song, and it epitomizes everything Crosstown BBQ is. Yeah. And it put it in that song about the legacy of Crosstown BBQ. But the sad thing is, I don't know if the legacy is going to continue, at least not with my family.
I don't know. There's a reason you found that song. There's a reason for everything. You know what I want? Not only do I want that to see that video as soon as possible, I think we should do this again. Get Big Smith back, get you back. Go over to Juanita K. Doesn't that sound great?
Yeah, that sounds real great.
And I'm going to wrap this up with you because I'm looking over there and Kay's looking at me like, would you please let him go so I can go home? God bless her. Steve Williams, thank you so much for joining me on Savor the Ozarks.
You're welcome. Good to see you, Miss Roberts. See you later.
Be sure sure to go to AroundTheOzarks.com to sign up for our daily newsletter where you can get every episode of Savor the Ozarks, plus all our other podcasts, events, and contests straight to your inbox. And what are your favorite dishes in the 417? Do you have any restaurants you'd like me to visit? Email me at joy@AroundTheOzarks.com.